Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Francisco, aka Paco, and I'm here with my friend Kristi. Kristi, how you doing?
I'm so good. It's so good to see you again.
Likewise, yeah. So, as you all have kind of been watching Adobe Live over the years, Kristi and I have a tendency to team up to do some fun live streams with photography and Lightroom, and I think this is our third one. So, yeah, I'm happy to kind of be paired up again.
I'm so excited. I feel like I know you, even though our last two were like 4 hours each. So we've spent 8 hours doing this already. And
8 hours, yeah. We were talking about this when we were kind of setting up the other day that we've streamed a lot online and feel like we know each other, but we actually haven't met in person. So we'll be changing that pretty soon here. Cool. So let me jump into it. So we'll keep the intro short. We want to get into the work, show you all what's happening. So we're going to edit the night sky with Kristi, and we're going to show you some new Lightroom tools in action. And then we're also going to show you some very fun camera to cloud features. That's kind of the hot new thing with a lot of cameras and mobile photography editing. So enough about that. I am looking at the chat. So I got YouTube, I got B hands up. Everybody let us know where you are tuning in from. I see Robert, I see Jack, I see Oliver. So yeah, everybody let us know where you're tuning in from. And yeah, we'll kick it over to you, Kristi. So what do we have in store for the day?
I'm really excited because these new Lightroom masking tools that help you edit your landscapes, they're so much fun. I found myself going back and pulling old Lightroom or old pictures that I had taken of the night sky and then using these tools and just realizing just how easy they are. I am a Nikon ambassador and I am part of the International League of Conservation Photographers. I do like keeping things pretty true to nature and pretty true to the image. But at the same time, like there's certain things where maybe I want to darken out that tree line or bring out that reflection or, different things. And Lightroom is a big part, an integral part of my process as a photographer. So I'm excited to show off these new tools.
Yeah, and Kristi, maybe we can pull up your website and just kind of show some of the work that you've done, just so people get a nice intro. There we go.
Oh,
So there's Kristi's
wonderful.
website. She's
It's
an
just
Nikon ambassador, does amazing, amazing nature photography. It is so crazy. So yeah, if you all don't know her, now you do, and you can see the amazing work that she does. And my say photography or shooting, what I say dream job, traveling all over the world to photograph rare animals. So cool. I love it.
I love my job and I love what I do. And I'm really excited to celebrate this planet and using the visual arts to show wildlife and the emotional side and just how amazing all the animals in the wild spaces that we share this place with. So it's such a blessing to be able to have a camera and to have the tools to be able to show off this world to everyone.
I love it. I love it. And so fitting. I know we just had Earth Day right around the corner. So, yeah, it's very Earth centric week. I love it. Okay, cool. So we're in Lightroom. Kristi, what are we going to be doing today? What are we looking at?
I've got a couple of night sky shots up, and then I've got a couple of other shots, but we're really going to focus on these new Lightroom masking tools and how you can use them to show off your images. I do like keeping things on the natural side, and I do like getting things pretty close in camera. But that being said, when I shoot in my camera, I shoot a very flat profile. So I always have to do a little bit of popping. And a lot of that is because I'm moving back and forth from photo to video a lot. So I shoot very standard. But back in the film days, I used to use all these films that enhanced my colors. So I find that I have to go into Lightroom. I do my adjustments, and I do a lot of my work that's inspired by old darkroom masters, how to move people's eyes around to, with dodging and burning techniques. And that's one of the ways that masking comes in really helpful. I will say, because night sky is particular, like it is challenging on the, we're talking about very dark skies. So one of the things that I do in my Lightroom is under edit preferences, I make sure before I import anything into Lightroom that my preset on raw defaults for global is my camera settings. One of the main reasons, Adobe default is great, but it puts a little bit of Adobe's thumbprint on the image. And I want to keep my images as true to how I've captured them in camera for when they come into my Lightroom. So that's one of the things that I want to make sure I do before my import. Now,
That's a very
here
cool
we
pro
are.
tip. I know by default, I think it uses Adobe Color, or used to be Adobe Standard, and then you can choose the color profiles just based on the camera settings. But this saves you a couple of extra clicks, and you know what color profile came from your camera is exactly what you're seeing on Lightroom. So very cool pro tip. Thanks for shouting that out.
Exactly. And so I usually, when I start with my images, I do start with my crop, and I'm going to just kind of crop in. I can keep the crop to be the original side by locking this lock, or I can unlock it, but I'm going to pull in just a little bit from the left-hand side because I want this area to kind of be more central. So I'm going to do that first. And I'm going to go in and with night sky, you do get some noise. Not a lot of noise, but you get some noise. So one of the other first things that I do is I love denoise. Not only denoise, but I love the fact that under denoise, the super resolution is so good. Like I'm not going to be demoing that today, but if you unclick denoise and you click super resolution, it can actually up the resolution of your file, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
So
they've
I
made
go
some
in.
great strides on that denoising feature with Lightroom.
Yeah.
Especially, you got to shoot RAW though, so make sure it's a DNG or RAW format in order for this to work. It won't work on JPEG, but it works good. Real quick, Kristi, while I have the floor, I do want to shout out some comments. We got tons of people chiming in on YouTube. Let's see, we got Kane from Vegas. We got, let's see, we got Oliver. We got Jack. Yeah. And I did see a question though, sorry, that I did want to bring up. So Drew Hamilton's asking, where'd you get that cool Aurora shot?
I got this in Churchill, Canada. We were up there photographing polar bears, and I have a polar bear shot that we might have some time for as well. But the shots next to it that I'm going to do, those are in Rocky Mountain National Park. I'm actually in Longmont, Colorado, so I'm about 40 minutes from Rocky Mountain. It's one of my favorite places. I go out there quite a bit. So this one was from Churchill. We had
Love
somebody on
it.
polar bear watch behind us, making sure that polar bears weren't going to come up while we were shooting these.
Yeah, and then someone else
But
is asking,
now
what's your handle on Instagram? And I think it's just Kristi Odom, right?
that's it at Kristi Odom.
Okay, cool. All right, enough with the chat. Let's get back to it.
No worries. All right. So now I've got my crop and my denoise and I'm ready for my masking. So I'm going to go in here and under masking as of it was last that these came out, right? These new landscape masks. And when is that right? Last week was when they first launched them?
Yeah, it was last week. Actually, I think it was announced right around Max London, which was the 24th, around there. So yeah, this is fresh off the press. So new features in Lightroom. So pay attention, folks. This is brand new stuff here.
So it has determined the vegetation, the live trees. It actually knows where they end, where the ground begins, which is crazy on this. You've got your water, you've got your natural ground. And so it's even got the water reflection in the sky. So it's actually given me a mask options for all of these. I like selecting all of them because I might use any of them. And you can select 4 separate masks. And I hit create mask, and now I can work with these different areas, which is cool. So I can work in the sky, I can work with the natural ground, I can work with the water line or the tree line. I'm going to start in the sky because that's the focal point, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of play around a little bit. So once I select this mask, I can go into customs, and anything in this grayed out area is going to adjust that mask. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pull that just a little bit brighter. The Aurora tends to have a lot of green with the way I white balanced it. So I'm going to pull that green down just a touch to bring out some of those blues. I'm a big purple fan, so I'm going to pull out those purples just a touch. And I'm going to pull out just a little bit of that green just to kind of bring some more purples and nice colors in there. So yeah, I'm kind of starting to like that. And I don't really like pushing saturation too much just because I like to keep things on the more natural side, but I'm going to push it just a little bit because I do shoot quite flat. So I'm going to pull it just kind of keeping it under 10 or 11. I don't want to enter the zone of the hyper real. And that's really important. I just judged a photo competition, and the number of people that took their wildlife photos to the hyper real was big. So when you're doing these, just constantly keep an eye and make sure you're doing it as to like how close you can get to what you are experiencing. I'm going to pull some contrast, and I like those color tones. I can also go in here and create a whole nother mask on a color range and pull out those, say if those greens are a little bit tight. So I can select those greens and then maybe pull down the saturation in those greens just a touch if I find that they're a little bit on the sharp side. So I'm going to pull the greens down just a little bit just so that the other colors pop. So I've got all my masks here. I want to take that tree line And I want that tree line to be a true silhouette. So I'm going to just pull those blacks in. And I'm going to do the same thing for this natural ground area because I don't want that little line that kind of shows up. I like it to be a little bit more. Now I'm going to go to the water and I'm going to do the same sort of thing with the water. I'm going to pull up my exposure just a touch. I'm going to try to match those colors I just did by pulling in those blues. And I could have selected both of those masks at the beginning, but I'm doing it the hard way, the extra step way for some reason. I always like a little bit of a vignette on my images because I like to pull those eyes in to kind of keep them trapped inside the frame. So those are kind of some of the changes. Let's see how that looks. And to kind of see your before and after, I like hitting this backslash button so I can kind of see the before, the edit, and the after. So those lines on the horizon line have been brought down. The colors have been brought out. And for me, I actually kind of like this edit. I think it's great. I might go in and just do one more step. I love a good S curve. So I'm going to go off of my masking by clicking this. So I'm not on my masking anymore. And I'm going to I like pulling the darks in my tonal curve down and I like pulling the lights up. I like a little extra contrast. So I like playing with my tonal curve quite a bit. And then I might bring the exposure up just a touch. And so, yeah, that's my before and after. Super simple, really easy. I don't do a ton. I like staying as true to nature as I can. Any questions?
Like
How does that look?
I was looking amazing. And I love that whole concept of shooting it the way that you saw it, right? I mean, we know photo editing, it's an arbitrary art. We love it. Some people like to enhance the colors. Maybe they imagine it more vibrant. But I think a lot of people go for visually appealing and they usually tend to slide those sliders all the way to the right, which I get. There's nothing wrong with that, but I also love the take on just shooting it and how it really naturally looks. So you're getting a very accurate representation of what it was like. So love that approach. And I think this looks amazing.
Well, thank you. And with Rocky Mountain National Park on 10/10 last year, when so many people got those crazy skies. Now, Rocky Mountain National Park has this no light painting rule throughout the whole park. So you cannot put any light out anywhere. And so because we want to always honor those rules of the park, there's never any light cast on foreground or anything like that. But for this image, I really wanted to show off just a little bit of those details in the mountains. Just a little bit. And that's the great thing about cameras these days is they have such a big exposure latitude. I remember when I used to shoot film, I'd have to be on with my exposures. And now you can be off by quite a few stops and you can push and pull things with great tools like Lightroom, which is fantastic. So by clicking over here and clicking on this little box here, I can see it'll show me if there's any shadow clipping. And I actually have details in all of my blacks. I keep my histogram on when I'm shooting and I make sure nothing's touching. It's very, very close here, but it's not touching the left side. And so I know there's some detail that I might be able to bring out in the mountain. With this masking tool, I'm going to do this landscape masking again. All right. And there's all sorts of things. You can do a bunch of dehaze with the sky. I'm a natural person. I don't like going into the hyper real, but this has done the sky and the mountains for me, which is amazing. I'm going to go ahead and just create those masks. I'm not going to do with them anything quite yet because I forgot to do my denoise, which I want to do that first. I shot this at 10,000 ISO. It was a dark night, and
that's pretty high.
Yeah. It was.
I was going to ask too how long the exposure was, but it says right there. So that was a 25-second exposure.
25 seconds. And you have to make sure you don't get too much movement in the stars because if you have too long of an exposure for your night sky, you'll get those blurry stars. And they're already starting to move a little bit.
And I forget what the magic number is. I think it's in the 20s, right? Like 22 or 21 when they start to move a little, or it starts to be noticeable.
There's an equation. So you divide, I think it's a 500 rule. It's you divide your lens length by 500 and you get the amount of seconds. Or am I saying that back to front?
There it is.
But there's a astro rule to how long you can keep that lens open. And there are factors, like if you have a DX or FX camera, full frame or crop sensor. So there's different ways, and you kind of just play around. So that'll give you a good base starting point, and then you play and see what you can do. But this was a dark night. I'm at 1.8. I have a 1.8 lens and 25 seconds and 10,000. And yeah, I couldn't really do much else. But that's why, yeah, tools like Lightroom, I can go in there and really kind of help this out. I do need to pull a denoise on this though, because yeah, night sky 10,000. Now for denoise, I just hit go last time, but I wanted to talk through it a little bit. I keep my denoise on the clean side because I like going 40 or below. 40 is my like, yes, that's kind of a heavy denoise for me, but I don't like going, I don't mind just a touch of grain. I would rather a touch of grain than something looking plastic or overdone. So I keep everything light. And I'm going to hit enhance here. So this one's at 40, which is kind of like the max range that I go to. Now I've got quite a bit running on my computer right now. So it'll take just a couple of, when I'm not broadcasting on Zoom, this takes like 2 seconds. But you all have to be patient for like the next 3 seconds or whatever. And you'll see that denoise will go through. But it's nice because I've already created those 2 masks, one for the sky and one for the mountains. And we're going to see if we can pull out a little bit of that light in the mountains, get just a touch of that detail. And I want to play around and bring that sky in. I think this wasn't it was actually like a SAR event, I think is what they were calling it. So that's what we ended up getting out here in Colorado.
What's a SAR event?
SAR.
Those of it.
Somebody's got to put that in the chat. I've totally blanked on it. It's written all out on the picture on the website, but it's, yeah, I'm sure somebody knows.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to put that in there. Okay, so now we're going to start with these mountains. So it's done a great job selecting the mountains, and I'm going to be super careful. The first thing you want to make sure there's no, but you see how there's a little bit of detail that was actually captured in those mountains. I'm going to pull this. I'm going to pull the blacks back down just because I want to make sure that it looks like it blends really well with the background. I am going to play around with the curve that's inside the light gray box. The curve down here is not is a global. I want to play with the one that's in the mask only, and I'm going to just kind of pull it just ever so slight. I usually just pull one down here and then I pull something in the middle or up. I like my nice little S curve. But you see how we're seeing some, I don't need a ton of details. I just want a little bit. And maybe I need to pull this one up. Yeah, there we go. And because the light's different down here, you can see that the light's a little funky. I'm going to go ahead and just play with the light just a touch. I can see a little yellows in there, so I'm going to just pull some blues. And maybe, let's see. Yeah, I might just, there we go. So now you can see just a touch of mountains, which makes me really happy. And then we're going to go into the sky, and I'm going to play with that color in the sky. I'm going to start with the contrast. So I've selected the mask for the sky, and I am going to honor that beautiful red. I'm going to pull that in just a touch, and I'm going to pull the yellow down just a touch. There's always so much yellow. And I'm going to go ahead and play just a little bit, pulling the darks down in the curve and pulling the lights up in the curve. Super. Now there's other things you can do. A lot of people like the look of, playing around with dehaze and texture in the sky. I like clarity because it adds a little contrast with the texture. But just tiny adjustments. So yeah, I mean, I could go super hyper real with this, but this feels very real to the scene. So just a little bit of information in that mountain, just a little bit of information in that sky. So I'm hitting that backslash to go back to original, and then here is the edit.
Yeah,
what do you all think?
It goes a long way with these edits. I think it's all these little adjustments that don't seem like much when you're editing, but when you combine them together, it really makes that shot. So yeah, I think this looks great. And I like that little detail in the mountains too. It's just crazy the dynamic range that fancy cameras have in one exposure. I remember the days when I would have to stack photography to get some detail in there, and denoising wasn't even, as good as it is with one click in Lightroom. But yeah, I mean, one shot and it looks amazing. This is very cool.
And not only that, but this is a shot that was taken at 10,000 ISO.
10,000, so yeah, let's not sleep on the ISO there.
When you have the higher ISO, you're getting less fine detail in those images. So to be able to have a shot with this sort of dynamic range with at 10,000 ISO is pretty exciting. This was taken with my Z8. So it was my Nikon Z8 that took the shot.
Love it. In the
Kind of
chat,
fun.
they're saying, I'm only finding search and rescue for a SAR event. I don't think that's the type of event we're referencing.
Oh my goodness. It's oh, I could look at my Instagram and tell you. It's
it's all good. I do remember this is the event that, you know, I know like the Northern Lights are just rare in the United States, especially the more southern you go. But I'm in the mountains in Lake Tahoe, and we got them there. I mean, it was hard to see with the naked eye, but if you took a camera out and did like a 5-10 second exposure, it was there. And I think that was the same event, right? Because I mean, if you were on social media, everybody had shots of the night sky that night. It was crazy.
It was really cool. And here's a little tip: if you don't happen to have like any sort of remote trigger for your camera, you can put your camera on self timer, and that way you don't have to press the button and move the camera when you're taking these longer exposures.
Yeah.
Night sky is
fun.
Cool. So, all right. So here's another one. This is another one at Rocky Mountain National Park. We got water elements, we got stars, we got clouds. We've even got a little bit of a foreground. So I thought this would be a fun one. Yeah. And
was this the same night or a different day?
This is different. So this is different. Yeah. Less milky less. I do a lot of Rocky Mountain. I do private guiding out there, and I do private photo tours, and I love going out there at night, and it's so quiet. And the stars, it's like one of the best places for stars that I've ever seen. It's quite phenomenal.
Yeah, I think that's one thing people should try and see in their lives, is just somewhere that doesn't have too much light pollution, to just get a view of because you can see it in the naked eye. I mean, this probably isn't too far where you see with the naked eye when there's no light pollution, you know. It's just so cool.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to talk about is there's just so many different ways to edit night sky. And I see the 5-image stacks that people do, and the bringing out the Milky Way. And, you know, there's all sorts of really advanced editing techniques, and there's just endless amounts that you can do. Me being so much natural and trying to honor the single shot, I do a lot less. But I think that at the end of the day, I think that there's going to be a trend that goes back towards, you know, using these enhancements, but using them in a way that really honors what we're seeing, you know?
Love it. Oh, and Jack, our detective, said they found it on your Instagram. SAR stands for Stable Aurora Red Arc. I don't even know what that means either. But
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Jack.
All right. So for this, I'm going to start with my crop by hitting that crop overlay tool. And I want to get that horizon line right. I would usually use this amazing angle tool, but I don't have a solid. The horizon's kind of hard to see here. It's kind of difficult and challenging to see exactly where it goes, but let's get it a little bit closer. All right. So this was shot at 8,000. A little bit of noise reduction, I think, would go a long way. It doesn't need a ton, but we're going to do that first step of denoise. And, you know, it's funny because I will say that I've tried so many other denoising programs, and Lightroom is my go-to. And I love Lightroom denoise. I think it's great that it's in this spot. I think it's gone leaps and bounds since right when it came out. And so and it's funny because there's certain programs like that do denoise that I feel like I can tell, like, oh, this has been edited with that program, you know? But Lightroom, you can't tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I remember the denoise feature. It worked well back in the day, but you could tell. You know, you could tell it was smooth. It just didn't. If you looked hard enough, that you kind of lost that natural grain. It looked plasticky. That was a great word you used earlier to describe it. But now, I mean, they've made enhancements with noise reduction. Again, shooting with raw images and DNGs, you're not going to see this in JPEGs. But yeah, it just does such a great job, and it's just a couple clicks away. And look.
Exactly. It's wonderful. All right, so I'm going to go back into my mask. I'm going to go to this landscape. Let's see what features it detects here.
Cool. And then David is chiming in with the SAR. I love how this is becoming a thing. We have more detectives on the case. But SAR Stable Aurora Red, it's from Geometric Activity. So obviously, I believe the SAR event is what caused this crazy upheaval that night, right? Where a ton of people saw it in North America. That's what it was called, the SAR event.
Yes, I love this audience. My gosh, this is
Yeah,
fantastic.
they're great, doing the heavy lifting for us. I love it.
I know, right? So it's created a sky mask, a mountain mask. It's crazy because it even through this, it sees the tree line, which I know is there, and then the mountains. Just like
Yeah,
there's
it does.
so
I mean, the
little
mountains do
detail
have some
there.
vegetation, but it caught it. That's pretty wild.
And it's got the water, and then it's got the. I kind of confused about the natural ground, but I mean, I think for here, I want this. I'm going to do mountain vegetation and natural ground as one mask because I want all of that kind of together. Yeah, because I'm going to do the same thing to all those. So that's going to create a mask that includes all three of those elements, which is kind of nice. And I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to add. Oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button. I'm going to add landscape mask of now I just want a sky. I want a sky and I want a water, but I want two separate masks. So this will create three masks, one with all of those elements that are pretty close to black that I'm going to go in and just kind of like, I want to pull that black in just a little bit more. I like a rich black. I don't want any details kind of coming out there. So I'm just going to pull those blacks and the shadows. All right, now I'm going to go to the sky and I'm going to select that, pull that exposure just a touch. I'm going to do some contrast. I might pull out, make that blue just a little. Yeah. Play around a little bit with this tonal curve. As you can tell, I like my tonal curves. Wait, hang on. I'm pressing the buttons too fast. Let me redo that. And I just undid that by hitting Control Z.
Yeah, we have Oliver chiming in. Lightroom Classics denoise is quite impressive. I've given it some very noisy photos, and the results were surprisingly good. Yes, I agree, Oliver. It's pretty wild what these apps can do.
Just do a touch of the dehaze and clarity. But same sort of thing I've been doing, and I'm going to play with the water just a touch. The water, I'm going to play with that tonal curve. I always do the same tonal curve. I'm like a broken record with my tonal curve. I make an S. I go down and
Yeah, you can't go wrong with an S curve on that tonal. I do the same thing. So
yeah,
and it varies with the lighting. Like I don't know what it is. I haven't been shooting sunsets or early sunrises just because I feel like I'm such a sleep hog. So I've been shooting more daylight photography, and I've had to be a little more granular with the curve, where that S curve just kind of isn't doing it the way that I used to with like sunset colors and golden hour. But yeah, I'm usually doing some sort of S curve on there.
And I was messing up there because I was on the wrong S curve. I was on the global S curve and not the masking localized S curve. So I just corrected that. Okay. If you guys saw,
were you doing the S curve for the sky?
I was doing this water. I did one for the sky and I did one for the water, but super simple before and after, just bringing those blues out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Gives it more detail too.
But I'm excited because now we're going to move on to a couple of other shots. I've got one that's more of the light rising, which I thought was kind of fun. I've got my polar bear shot. So we have time for two or three more, right?
Yeah, just a quick time check. We're about halfway through. So we have about 25-ish more minutes.
Okay. And we want to show that camera to cloud stuff. So
yeah. So maybe let's do one more here and then let's show camera to cloud. Just so we can for sure cover that. And if there's time, we can do the polar bear shot. And there they are. This is in Canada.
The polar bear shot first. I want to do that. I love the shots, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
So this was an amazing sunset moment where this in Churchill, Canada, there's polar bears walk through town, and there's this all this industrial, there's just polar bears that they live really close to people. It's crazy. And this mother had sat down to nurse, and there's this building in the background as the sun was setting. And I love this moment. The shot definitely needs some work. And this is one of those places where these tools can help, because I want people to see the polar bears. I want them to see the orange in the sky, and I want to kind of bring down some of the other elements. So I'm going to go into this masking, and when I click on it, I'm going to do that landscape mask. I'm going to see what it finds. And it's found the architecture. Now, the architecture does blend in with these rocky parts, so it sees that as one, but that's fine. I actually kind of want that to be one tone, so that's not a problem. So we've got the sky, we've got the vegetation, we've got the natural ground. So we're going to go ahead and just select all of these, and we're going to create 4 separate masks. I'm going to actually go out of my masks first because I want to do a global adjustment. I'm going to pull the light down just a touch. A lot of times I'm pulling things a little darker, and then I'm adding, using masking, using brushes. I'm kind of bringing people's eyes to different areas. So I'm kind of pulling this. This has a little bit of blue to it. So I'm going to pull a little bit of those golds back. So that's my global. Now I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to do the sky first. So, I didn't mean to hit rename. So I'm going to click on that sky. I'm going to pull that exposure down. I really want that orange to come out. Might just kind of just little touches. I'm building, maybe pull that building down just a touch. And I want to keep an eye. See, if you look around the edges of the trees, once you see that there's imperfections there, you can't even see that a little bit. So this is one of those situations where exposure might not be the right slider, but the trees don't have highlights on them. So we're going to try the highlights and just pulling those down. And as you can see, there's not the imperfections coming out around the tree line anymore by pulling highlights instead of exposure. But it being mostly bright, that brings that whole area down. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to add another brush, add another mask, but I'm going to do a brush, either a brush or a radial gradient. And you can make your brushes bigger or smaller over on your size, and you can make the feather and the flow and the density. You can change all these things, but I want to just kind of grab there. I'm going to pull the shadows up. If I pull the highlights and the full exposure, you might see a little bit too much of a glow. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it really soft. See that when the white starts to glow, that's when I have to back down. Okay. And I love myself a tiny little vignette on all my images. So I'm going to scroll down and put a little tiny vignette in there. I might go ahead and click off of my masks and do just a little bit of a tonal curve. So I'm going to pull the darks down just a little bit, and I'm going to pull the lights up just a little bit. Yeah, so nice little S curve there. But now I'm going to show you the before and the after. So do you see how the polar bears kind of pop out just a little bit more now, and your eye goes to them, and it shows that soft moment? So tiny adjustments, but nothing too crazy, nothing that doesn't honor the image. But I definitely want to direct people, because before your eye just kind of gets lost. It doesn't know where to look. Now you see that bright orange, and you see the polar bear mom and cubs.
Yeah, that's great.
Simple.
I love that before and after feature.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. So do we want to do one more, or do we want to go ahead and show the camera to cloud?
I think that was a quick edit. I think we could probably do one more. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Lightroom is so fast. It's such like a simple, quick part of the process, which is wonderful. We've got a couple here. Like I've got one where the moon comes out and the foliage and being able to bring out that detail. But I really loved this shot. Was super hard to edit because, oh my gosh. So we were in Yellowstone on one of the days where it hit minus 40 degrees. I think it was even colder than minus 40. It was so crazy because I mean, my friend, he started to like get a little frostbite, and our windows I mean, our temperature gauge said minus 40, and it wouldn't go below that. So it was probably colder than that.
That's crazy. I don't think I've been anything lower than minus 15 or 20, and that's like once in my life. Minus 40. I had no idea Yellowstone could get that cold. That's nuts.
It was so beautiful. We got in at sunrise, and when the sun was rising, it was like this gold in the sky, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And so I ended up going down on this bank and kind of photographing that golden light coming through. I shot it through my camera very flat, like I always shoot flat. But this edit was challenging for sure. And I'm going to go through and just kind of like adjust it globally first before I start playing with my masks. But we had this beautiful golden light that was coming through. I'm going to pull. Now I'm going to go on in. I'm going to go ahead and my horizon line is way off here. I cannot hold a camera straight ever. It's a problem. I'm always. Actually, that's not bad, is it? Okay.
No. I feel like that's the thing. I feel like I use my camera's level and swear that I get the horizon line right. And then you look at it in Lightroom and you're like, it's still off. Like, why is that?
I always think of that Happy Gilmore quote where the guy's only got one shoe on and he can't putt straight. I don't know.
That's
Sorry, I
hilarious.
go to old school Adam Sandler movies a little too much.
That's a classic.
It's because you have on one shoe. I love that. Anyways, I forgot the exact quote. But so here we go. We're going to go into masking. We're going to go to landscapes. We're going to see what it finds. And this one's hard. I mean, it's some bright. It still was able to kind of like pull things, pull the water. Yeah, this one's super challenging. It got the mountains, it got the sky. So we're going to do a sky mask. We're going to do a vegetation mask. And I'm going to do a water. And so, yeah, this one, it being so foggy, it had some problems. So we might have to go in and adjust a few of those masks just a little bit. So this water mask, I can go in here and I can subtract. And I can subtract a brush and I can just subtract this. I'll make this bigger. I can subtract this whole area because, you know, it looked like flowing water, how the snow is. And I mean, that's the thing is like this computer's looking for certain elements that it's deemed as moving water, I've been told. And yeah, look at that. That looks like moving water. Makes sense, right? This silhouette, I kind of just want it to be the trees. So I'm going to go in and subtract just some, you know, it sees some foliage that, you know, sometimes you have to adjust the brush. It's funny with cameras too. You've got a bird that's very good at camouflage that's flying, and then disappears. If you can't even see it with your eye, the camera's not going to see it. You know, there's certain elements that you have to have. And this is a very challenging image. But now I've got some masks that I think will work better. I'm going to go into this first one and I'm going to bring out that gold just a touch because I love that golden color, you know?
Yeah, that's
and then I'm going to go
already. That's looking
into
great.
the mask. I'm going to pull those blacks from this area, kind of pull that contrast. And I'm going to go into that water. I kind of want to see the water just a touch more. So I'm going to pull the exposure up on the water just a touch. And I am going to go back to my global and then maybe pull just a touch more blue back. And this is a situation where because of the haziness, I'm going to pull that saturation up just a bit. And of course, my vignette. I love a small vignette. Once I can see it, it's too much though. So pull back. Yeah. So here's the before and after. Just simple.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
I might erase those from the. But yeah. Okay. So I'm going to get off of Lightroom, if that's okay. And we are going to. Do I really want to quit? Yes, I really want to quit.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to share this camera to cloud stuff because this is fun. And when I'm out in the field and I get to, you know, see something that's magnificent, I can, if I've got a Wi-Fi connection, I can have my camera, I can take a picture. It can go straight to my Nikon Cloud, which I have synced with Lightroom Cloud. So I can edit on my Lightroom mobile, which is kind of cool. So I can go out there and if I'm trying to ID an insect or anything or an animal, I can send that straight over. If I'm doing a tiger workshop and we see our first tiger, I can take a picture and put that straight up on my social. And, you know, there's all sorts of things that make this super easy. These are all my test shots. So this is what we're going to do. I've got my Nikon Z6 III today.
There it is.
So
this is real, folks. So yeah, for anybody who's joining us, we're going to demo some camera to cloud, which is a very cool feature where essentially you are taking a shot on your camera and then it's going right to Lightroom. So this is very cool. I mean, you don't have to send the photos on your camera to your phone. You don't have to get an SD card, put in the dongle on your phone. It does it automatically. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm going to do something that I hate more than anything, but I'm doing this for you all, so I hope that's okay. I'm going to do a selfie first, and then I'll take a picture of my dog. But I can take my screen and turn it back on myself. Oh, yeah. Selfies and me. Just so you know, I'm doing this in real time, and it wasn't something that I did before, okay? So
Yes, this
now
is
I've got to make
proof, y'all.
sure I make sure I look good. Oh my goodness. Let me go. Okay, so I'm taking a couple shots. And then the better subject is, sorry, I ended up taking a picture of the window. I didn't mean to do that. My button hit the, but I'm going to take a picture of my beautiful dog as well. And so I just got to, hey, Toby.
Yeah, we got to
My
lure him
dog's
with
over here.
treats.
Yeah, he's asleep. Oh, you look so sleepy. Can you wake up for me, please? Here, come here. Up.
And there is a dog, folks. You're gonna see. So Kristi's gonna
There
take
is a
a
dog.
photo
I'm
of
take
her
a
pooch.
couple of shots of my
And then this
little
is going to relay to her phone
puppy.
automatically. So don't have to pair it up with Wi-Fi to send to the phone. You don't have to put an SD card in the phone. It's all going to do it by itself with camera to cloud.
I took a couple, but you're going to see a very sleepy dog that's like, I don't even know if I want to be woken up for treats. He's so the camera right now, it's set up to camera to cloud, so it is transmitting all of my, oh, there's my first selfies come through. Do
All
you
right,
see
they're
it?
coming in. Yep.
And then I've got my, oh, there's my sleepy dog. And there's the
Oh,
couple
there he
times when my
is.
finger accidentally pressed the button, because that's what happens when you go live. And I'm going to go ahead and, like, just out of my own embarrassment, erase those two that my finger. That didn't happen, right?
Never happened.
So
What finger?
we got my cell phone here and we're able to, oh, now you're up. Now he's going to give me a good pose, but we're going to have to edit one of these.
Oh.
That's, yeah, my very sleepy dog.
And this
It's
is
not the
Toby
best.
for those of
This
us that
is
haven't been acquainted with
Toby.
this. Toby.
Yeah.
Very cute.
So I'm in
Hey,
Lightroom
Winter.
Mobile here, and I can go in and play with my crop and yeah, just kind of, oh my gosh, my sleepy dog does not look happy there. It's like the worst picture.
Oh, it's a
I
cute
can
photo.
accept that crop and I can go in, I can do all those things that I like doing. I can do my effects, which is my vignette. I can do that vignette. I can do my global effects. I can take that exposure down. I can add the contrast and I can do my masking. So I can add a mask, a brush. I can change the size of my brush and I can, like, brush these eyes just a touch. One of the things that I like doing with images is I go in and I pull up the highlights in the eyes just to show off that catch light, just a touch. I pull out the exposure just a little bit, and then I go into effects and I pull the clarity of the eyes, and that brings a little bit more just sharpness to that one area. Let me move my mouse. But you kind of see the before and after. So I'm able to take these shots. I took this with the Nikon Z6 III with a 51.8. I did much better. Toby was a little bit more receptive before I had talked for that long. So
Oh, this
here's
is a
one that I
great
took as
photo.
but there's the before and after edit. A little bit of masking on
Yeah.
the eye. And there's
What
also
a
some really
cute
full.
doggo.
So this is the picture. Oh, I don't like this one, but all right, I'm gonna show off one of these ones I took right before. So this is one I took right before our segment. But you saw the ones I took right up. So you can go
Yep.
in here and you can do all sorts of, like, analyzing the subject, and you can detect your subject, and you know, you can go and do different exposures. Like, I can pull my exposure up just a touch. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to hit the plus and accept that, but I'm also going to go in and there'll be recommended presets, and you can set up your own recommended presets for things that you like. I'm very into black and white, so I can go to these black and white presets. I'm going to do that in a second, though, because I want to do first, I want to retouch. I want to bring out the whiteness of my teeth. I drink too much tea. And I can also clean up my skin just a little bit, smooth it out. And I'm going to hit go on that. And I can also fix the angle. I can do my crop. I can kind of crop down. Portrait of myself. My gosh, I can't believe I'm editing a picture of me. This feels very silly.
This
People
is light
like
bulbs.
this, right? It's
Yeah, the
so
chat's liking it. They're saying
easy.
the face is perfect. And I see we got Winter in the chat. Winter, welcome. So if you're just joining us right now, we're doing some demonstration with camera to cloud. So Kristi literally took her Nikon Z8, took a shot, which is a
Oh,
selfie.
Z6 III, not the 8.
Z6 III, my goodness, sorry.
Yes.
The Nikon Z6 III, and then that went straight into her phone where she has Lightroom, and we are editing it. These were shots that were taken not too long ago.
And I can take this picture and yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I can like forward it to
Yeah.
I can share it with like I'll send it to my husband. There we go. He loves when
There
I
we go.
send him selfies because I never do. It's like he'll be
Just be like, what's
pretty
the
excited
context of
about
this?
that.
Like, I literally did this live in front of an audience.
Exactly. And I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, yeah, I did some
That's a
teeth
great
whitening and
photo.
some smoothing of my skin and
Yeah.
things like that, but you get the idea. And so this is so much fun, and it's like, you know, people need things instantaneously, or if you're working and you know to I find that on social, the more like the quicker you post things, the more of a audience engagement reaction that I get. Like if I'm out in the field and I see something and I can take a picture of it and edit and put it up right away, and like this was my morning, or this was, you know, this is what I'm looking at, or it's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
It helps drive that engagement.
Yeah. Winter's agreeing with you. They're saying, I always like my selfies in black and white better. So, yeah.
Me
This is a
too.
thing.
Me too. So it's not that bad. My dog has disappeared. But yeah, he looks so sleepy. I hope I'm not putting you all to
Oh.
sleep like that. And this is
No,
what he
no,
looked
not at
like
all. I mean,
before the stream, which was
if you bring a
so
pet on Adobe Live, you have the audience undivided attention. That is the thing. We love showing our pets here, so that's good. And just a quick time check, Kristi, we have about 7-8 minutes, so we still got a little bit of time. We wanted to do another edit in Lightroom or do another camera to cloud demonstration, but we do have some time.
well, are there any questions in the chat or things that
Nope.
people want to see?
No current questions. It'll take a little bit for us to see any responses, but I'll ask the chat, is there anything you all want to see? Should we take more doggo photos and then maybe edit one more, assuming we're not going to wake them up? Or we could go back to Lightroom Classic and maybe edit 1 or 2 more photos. But let us know.
This camera to cloud stuff. I have so much fun with this. Look at all these pictures, all the practice pictures.
Is this the same dog or do you have multiple dogs?
This is the same dog.
Okay.
Toby's.
Tammy.
Let's see. Hey, Toby,
Well,
you want another treat? Huh? Another Lightroom?
Yeah, no, I was going to say we could see the other photos you took of Toby, but if he's right there and we could get Adobe Live exclusive photo on the spot.
Yeah, let's get another one. He's being really good right now. All right, Toby, can you sit? You're going to get a treat. Let me get the eye.
This is exciting, folks. We can't see Toby right now, but Kristi's going to take a photo and we're going to see the photo.
Oh, he's doing perfect now. Okay, Toby. Good boy. Look at my good boy. Good boy. Oh, good boy. Good boy. I love these, like being able to shoot at like 1.8 and I love low aperture. Let's see. There we go. Oh, that was a perfect. Ow.
Oh, I'm so excited to see this develop. And wait, we do have some questions. Linda's asking, really? How do you set up the camera to cloud?
Oh, goodness. So there's a whole, if you go to Nikon camera to cloud, there's a video that'll do step by step. And it did take me a minute to set it all up, but once it's set up, it's like, it's good to go, which is great. And it is a feature right now on the Z6 III, the Z5 II, the ZF, the Z52. So not all of the Nikon mirrorlesses have this quite yet. And I'm not sure if the other ones will get it, but that's something right now that is.
So that actually indirectly answers Cheryl's question, who was asking, is camera to cloud available on all cameras? And it sounds like it's very camera dependent and brand dependent. So Cheryl, if you have a newer camera, I'd recommend checking out the manufacturer's website and seeing if it does support camera to cloud. I know Nikon does. Not sure about Canon and the others. I'm sure they're not too far behind because all of these cameras usually match each other up with the latest and greatest features. Wow, was this just now?
This was just now. That's the one I just took. I'm excited.
Oh,
This
look
one's
at
so much
Toby.
better.
This is
Isn't
so
he
cute.
precious? My little
He's
like.
very precious.
So
What a
I'm gonna do
handsome
my.
gentleman. Look at him. Super
Isn't he the? I
photogenic.
love this dog.
Yeah,
Your
let's zoom
dog.
in
I
on
feel like
this.
not only do I
Zoom
feel like I
in.
know you, but I feel like I know your dog because your dog has a Instagram and everything,
He
right?
does, yeah. Ansel, and
You
I've
share
always
that
had
Instagram.
family dogs growing up, but when you get your own dog, which is my first dog, I am
Yeah.
obsessed. Like I saw a reel where like millennials, like in their 30s, they get a dog and they make them an Instagram. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's me. I literally did that. But yes, we
Toby
love our
fully
pets
has an
here on Adobe
Instagram
Live.
too.
Look at this hand. This
Just
is
doing.
like this is a
Isn't
great photo,
this
Christy.
It's so
Look at this gentleman.
I like this picture. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do that mask. I'm gonna do that like the brush. And now if this is a human, you can do like you can select you can make an eye a mask of the eyes, I think.
Yeah,
But I do so much more with wildlife. So
yeah.
so we're gonna take those eyes. I'm gonna go in and I'm going to bring those highlights, bring a little because I just want people to see the Toby eyes, right?
The
Bring that
Toby eyes.
clarity little bit sharper, so I'm gonna accept that. But yeah, check out that before the edit, after the edit. So I'm able to
Great
use
shot.
all of my lenses, do fun macro stuff, have like 51.8, shoot right at the eye.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could even like go in and mask that neck a little bit, bring down the light so that you kind of, oh, I like this picture.
This is so great. I love it. You
I'm
got to send this to
keeping
your
this.
husband again. He's gonna be
Yeah,
like,
this
"Why am
one's
I
going
getting all these
straight
photos?
to
Like these are live photos." And we do have another
this one's
question. They're coming in,
going
so maybe while you're doing that, we can ask one. David's asking, "What's your favorite astro lens and your favorite wildlife lens?"
Actually, I love the 21.8, the Nikkor Z 21.8 for Astro. I love those super low light lenses, and that one's got to be my favorite. And my favorite low light, I have the Plena, the 135 1.8. I love that lens. I've got the 51.8 just for yeah, this was Toby's right next to me, so I needed something. I had the Plena originally, but Toby was a little too close. So I love all those low light lenses that Nikon has.
What about your favorite wildlife one?
Oh, I'm obsessed with the Nikkor Z800. That's like my favorite. I love
Is
that
that
lens. It
800
took me so
millimeter lens, a prime one?
yeah.
Man,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
a pretty big focal length. Wow. I mean, I guess you
It's
need to
been
for wildlife.
I shoot a lot of really tight images. I like the tight images of wildlife, but I also like the scenic ones. But as you probably saw on the website, there's just a lot of like really tight shots. I love being able to show all those details and, you know,
I remember that bear
yeah.
one, the silhouette one. I remember you showing that one of the last times we went live. That's such a great shot.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
very cool.
I want to see that
Okay,
picture of Toby again. I'm so happy with it. Oh, did I
yeah,
close
let's
that
see it.
screen? I closed the screen. Oh well, it's gone.
It's gone.
What's
No,
on my lighter?
Toby.
I
Toby,
think
come back to us.
my phone went idle. So
All
yeah, I
good.
could repair it, but you all got to
Okay.
see
Well, we
it.
do have 3 more minutes. So, anything else you
Okay.
wanted to show Christy or shout out? Chat, if you have any last
I
minute questions, let's get them in. We got about 3 more minutes with Christy here. So, now's your chance to ask Christy any questions with photography, anything in general. Yeah. We do have
I
a
would
little bit of
love for
time.
anyone in the chat to share their not only their Instagram handles, but their pets' Instagram handles.
Oh, this is fun. All right, chat, you heard it. If you have an Instagram channel with photography or pets, go ahead and share them. This is a community moment. Let's have a look at each other's works, whether on YouTube or Behance. I'm gonna dig up Ansel's real quick.
Toby's is Tobosaurus Rex, I think is his handle. He doesn't have that many followers, not as
Tobosaurus
many as,
Rex.
as Ansel. Ansel has
Oh,
a good
Ansel
number of followers.
doesn't. No, I think it's like under 100 or something here. I'm on the Adobe Live channel, so there it is on YouTube. All right, Christy, sharing your website. I went ahead and shared Ansel's on Adobe Live. Oliver is sharing on Behance. Here, let's see. Maybe I can show. This is fun. Maybe I can show the profiles that are coming in. I just got to pull it up on my end. 1 second, y'all. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do it because I don't have my laptop hooked up to the machine right now. All good. But yeah, everybody, feel free to check out each other's profiles. We got Oliver looking at Behance. I don't know if I can count all the birds and bugs and pets. I'm going to look at your profile right now. on Behance. I wish I could share.
Oh, my
Let's see if we can get
Behance
that up.
profile's a little outdated. I'm sorry. I
That's
will
all good. Okay,
update it. I will do it. I promise.
I think I could probably do this real quick. Let's see. Screen capture. I want to see if I can flash Oliver's Instagram real quick. This will be fun to do.
Yeah, that camera to cloud went quicker than I thought, but that's the whole point of it, right? It's like the quick take pictures, edit, send it off. And my husband now has two. I don't know if you all noticed, but if you looked really closely, the second time I messaged my husband, it said notifications turned off, that it didn't say the first time.
That's funny.
That's always
I don't
fun.
think I'm going to be able to flash it. Sorry, I tried, Oliver. But yes, thank you for sharing. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in with us. We're actually kind of running out of time here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you all for joining us here on Adobe Live. I've had so much fun with you, Kristi. Thank you so much for showing us all those awesome editing techniques of the night sky, the new Lightroom features, and the camera to cloud. Wish we could give that one more flash of that amazing Toby shot, but you know, if you follow Kristi, then maybe you could see it. All good. If you can't pair it, no worries.
We can pair it.
Yeah, let's see it.
Yeah, and I just got my husband loved the images.
Oh. Real-time feedback. That's what we love here on Adobe Live.
Yeah, just 20 seconds and it'll come up. But he's the one that goes through my do not disturb. Oh, he said I was beautiful.
Here it is.
Okay, sorry. So let me come back to there. Let me go back to Lightroom.
I'll wait to switch. There we go. There he is. That was shot right here, folks. An Adobe Live exclusive of good old Toby. This is such a great shot, Kristi. I love it.
It's got, I'm kind of obsessed with the color teal, so that's like a teal couch cushion that's behind.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you actually set up a backdrop for this, or if it's just like a natural backdrop.
I put a cushion.
Cool.
I can show you the cushion that's down there. The little.
Oh, there it is.
Hey, Toby, you want a treat?
Toby. Okay, well, we do got to wrap up because we're gonna get cut off on Behance here. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Stay tuned. We got more Adobe Live coming up. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, everybody, have a good one. Bye bye.